So as most of you are mentioning, so you're 100% true. So generative AI is basically the models which is capable of generating the new content based on the training data. Now, I can clearly say that. So there's a generative AI tsunami that's happening. The reason because this generative AI has impacted our day-to-day life. So this generative AI are the system, like they can autonomously generate the new content, as most of you mentioned, like images, text, and other creative output. So as a result of this, the reason the world is going crazy because this has got the application in art and design. So we can use this generative AI to create unique and novel artworks, design, and multimedia content, which is expanding the possibilities of creative expression. And these generative AI models is used in music and writing, which can be, there are various services out there these days, like AWS Deep Composer, and there are various other products that we have got right now under the generative AI space, which is capable, okay, which is capable in generating the content creation. Okay, and here, apart from that, even this generative AI has is actually playing key role when it comes to personalization and user experience. So generative AI has got the algorithms and it is used in platforms like streaming services and e-commerce, and this is providing the personalized content suggestion, and it is enhancing the user experience. Even though as much we want to stay away from it, it's definitely not possible because it is already embedded in the programs or in the applications that we already use. So using this as an end user, we are getting the better experience out of this application, whether it is through Instagram, whether it is LinkedIn, or whether it is learning platform. So wherever you go, these AI models are there for us. It is impacting us in our day-to-day life. So it's very important that you understand the generative AI and how it actually works so that you'll be able to part of this in-demand technology that is generative AI and be a part of the group where you're able to work with that system in an efficient manner, rather than like instead of being as an end user, you'd be playing a crucial role in its design in your organization. To give some more information about the impact of generative AI, so it has made significant impact in healthcare and medicine. So in drug discovery, in medical imaging, natural language understanding under this language processing communication, conversational AI. So in all these areas, we see the impact of generative AI. And apart from these healthcare and language processing and communication, if I want to describe some other categories where we see the usage of the generative AI is autonomous vehicle, scientific research, cyber security, data analysis. So these are the various scenarios or various categories we see the usage of generative AI, and we are actually enjoying the benefits of such generative AI. Now, the question that comes to our mind is, so what exactly is this AI, or what exactly is this generative AI? So if I want to describe this generative AI, it is important that we describe what is the term AI would mean. So AI is basically known as the artificial intelligence. It's the ability of the machine. Okay, it's the ability of the machine to mimic the human intelligence. So when we talk about AI, so because of the movies or the entertainment sector that we have got, it's like you would think that AI is basically a robot or talking computer. But when I say AI, think of it as a digital brain. So think of it as digital brain, which is capable of analyzing the situation as well as taking the action. So the important thing that you need to remember when we talk about AI is It can perform the analysis, okay, as well as take the action. So to give you some more real world examples of the AI system which we are using on a day-to-day basis, okay. So yeah, I've got few more responses. Tesla, okay, ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, perfect guys, and even the Alexa, Siri. So all these are the examples of AI system. Now let me take an example of Siri, which we use it in our mobile devices. Now when I say, hey Siri, what's the weather today? Then the Siri is going to receive my input. It will analyze what I'm trying to convey. It will go to the weather website and it will generate me a response for me about the question that I've asked. Let's say, what is the weather today? So the AI, like in this example, the Siri that I've mentioned, it's basically a system which is capable of my input, analyzing my input, and taking some action. Now, to give you another example, let's say if I ask my Alexa, hey Alexa, switch on the light, then it will take the action of switching on the light. So, as you can clearly see, these are all the examples. Okay, these are all the examples of AI or an artificial intelligence system which has the ability of analyzing the information as well as taking an action. That's what an AI system is. Now, the question that we might get is, why do we require the AI? Well, the reason that we require the AI because it helps us with automation. It enables the automation of repetitive and mundane tasks. So this will free up our human resources so that we can focus on more productive and complex aspects of the work. It will improve the efficiency and productivity. And AI excels in analyzing the large data set, and it will help us to identify the pattern, extract the meaningful insight, which using this we can perform better decision. AI algorithms will help us in creating the personalization like the content streaming, e-commerce, social media. It will help us with the personalization. AI models will help in the domain of predictive analytics, so it can predict the future trends and the outcomes based on the historical data, and it will assist the business in forecasting the demand. And these AI models will help us with innovation and creativity, healthcare advancement, and AI-driven NLP system allows us for more sophisticated language understanding. So as a result of this, that would facilitate the advancements in virtual assistant, chatbots, language translation, and the sentiment analysis, which we are already enjoying right now to with the softwares like the ChatGPT. And the AI plays a crucial role in autonomous systems as well. So these AI powers the autonomous vehicles, drones, robots, and that would enable the machines to operate independently and make the decision based on the real-time data. Now, these are all some examples or at a very high level. Now, if I want to give you some more sector-based use case to provide some more idea about why this is important, in healthcare sector, so AI plays a crucial role when it comes to medical diagnosis and imaging. So AI algorithms analyze the medical images like x-rays, MRI, CT scan to assist in the early detection of diseases and abnormalities. And it is used in finance for fraud detection and risk management, in retail personalized marketing and recommendation, and not just that, in manufacturing sector it's used in predictive maintenance so that it can analyze the system and analyze the equipment data and help us to predict when the machine is likely to fail, and that would enable the proactive maintenance and it will help us in reducing the downtime. And another use case of this AI is in education for adaptive learning. So AI powered education platforms adapt to the student's learning style, provides the personalized learning experience. In automation, in automotive industry too, especially on the purpose of autonomous driving. So AI technologies are empowering such systems so that it can go ahead and analyze the outside information and take the action. It could be navigation, and based on the real-time data, it can go ahead and take the decision. It could be accelerate, apply the brake, take left, turn right. Depending on the user's input, it can autonomously take the action. Now that you have seen the importance of artificial intelligence, and with the various applications that you might have already experienced in your day-to-day life, now I've got a question for you guys. Do you think the machines are truly better, or do you think humans have a edge over here? So what is your opinion, and what do you think about this, guys? Do we as a human has an edge, or do you think the machines are way better than the human? So let me know, guys, what do you think? Okay, so as I can see the responses from most of you, yeah, I completely agree with each and every one of you guys. So the obviously the AI system would excel in various tasks. It could be repetition or analyzing a large data set in a small period of time. So we have those advantages. The AI can actually do better compared to a human being. But what machines lack is the emotional intelligence, the ability to get a big picture instead of simply looking into the past data. So those kind of abilities are currently missing in the machines these days. So the humans would are definitely going to be better in such aspect. But as I mentioned, in some scenarios, especially when it comes to repetitive tasks and the use cases that I've described earlier, so analysis of the large data set and performing the predictive modeling. So in all those scenarios, yes, the machines would definitely have an edge. So when we are designing any such AI based system, it's very important that we strike a balance between these two, because as we progress in our I would say as we progress in our AI world, so definitely there needs to be a harmony between the man and machines, guys. Now that you have got a basic idea about man versus machine and where exactly this AI would fit in. So let's talk about the levels of AI. So when we talk about levels of AI, so there are a lot of levels that we can describe when we talk about the artificial intelligence. So I can say level one as the narrow or a weak AI. So this is a kind of an AI system where the system is designed for a specific task or a narrow domain. And this narrow or weak AI, it is limited to predefined set of function, and it lacks the general cognitive abilities. Like the examples would include virtual personal assistant, image recognition, and language translation system. And the level 2, we call it as the general artificial intelligence. So this is a scenario where the AI, okay, the AI has got human like cognitive abilities and has got the capacity to understand, learn, and apply the knowledge across the domain. And this is capable of performing any intellectual task which any human can do. And currently, the AGI doesn't exist, and this is a long term goal. Now, apart from this level 2, there are other levels that we can describe. We've got limited self aware AI, full self aware AI, and we also have super intelligent AI. So, the current state of our AI field is it actually generally falls within two levels. So, there are obviously ongoing advancement that is happening, which is going to push the boundaries of the narrow AI. So, whatever the applications that you see right now, it all falls under the first two levels. Okay, now achieving higher levels of AI obviously involves not only the technical challenges but also the ethical and societal considerations as well. Now that you got a brief idea about artificial intelligence, let's take a step ahead and understand the types of artificial intelligence. See, when we talk about the artificial intelligence, as I've described earlier, it's a type of system which can help us, okay, which can help us in analyzing the data. So it can help us in analyzing the data. But when we talk about such AI system or the artificial intelligence system, we can describe it into various types. Okay, so I can categorize such AI system based on the capabilities, function, and as well as its functionalities too. So some of the common types of AI would include narrow or weak AI, which is the artificial narrow intelligence, generative AI. Okay, okay, and apart from that, we can describe or categorize the artificial intelligence as machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, natural language processing, computer vision, expert system, robotics, and the autonomous system. So, to give you more idea about what are these types are, see when we talk about narrow or weak AI, so this is a kind of AI which is designed and trained for a specific task or a narrow domain. So this is basically limited to performing the predefined set of functions. It cannot go beyond that. And when we say general AI, so in the case of general AI, so it will possess human-like cognitive abilities, and it can understand, learn, as well as apply the knowledge across diverse domain, and it is capable of performing any intellectual task that a human being can do. Now, apart from this, we also have other categories like machine learning. Now, this machine learning is a subfield or a subset of machine learning, subset of artificial intelligence. Now, in case of machine learning, we focus on developing the algorithms that would allow the system to learn and improve from the experience. And this machine learning can be subdivided into supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and the reinforcement learning. And this machine learning is what we use it in the task like image recognition, natural language processing, and the recommendation system. So these are the types of, like, this is about the machine learning. And apart from machine learning, we also have deep learning. Now, when I say deep learning is a subset or a subfield of machine learning. Now, in this scenario, which is the subfield of machine learning, so what we are going to do is this involves the neural network in order for us to analyze the data. So we'll make use of the neural network, okay? And in order to analyze the patterns, we use such neural network, which we also call it as the artificial neural network. And then we've got reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning, I can say this as a type of machine learning where the agent is going to learn to make the decision by interacting with an environment. So this is like it will have some kind of a feedback loop. The agent will have a feedback loop, and based on this feedback loop, which indicates whether it's a reward or a penalty, it is going to adjust its action. Okay, so this is generally used in the applications like game playing, robotics, and optimization problems. And the another type of AI, which is of most interest these days, is the natural language processing. So natural language processing, it focuses on enabling the machines to understand, interpret, and generate the human language. And this is used in chatbot, language translation, sentiment analysis, and the voice recognition systems. Okay, so basically think of it in this way. If I'm looking for a type of AI system which would help me to analyze this text, okay, or analyze our language data, that's when we'll be talking about the natural language processing. And we also have computer vision. Computer vision will allow the machines to see the outside world. So it will have the ability to understand the visual data, and it is used in the applications like the facial recognition, object detection, image classification, and the autonomous vehicles. And we also have the expert system, which is another type of system which is designed to mimic the decision making abilities of a human expert in a specific domain. So in case of expert system, it uses rules and knowledge Okay, that's what it uses. And we have a robotics. So robotics is another type of AI where it will integrate the artificial intelligence and machine learning into the physical robots. So what this would do is this would enable the machines to perform the task in an autonomous manner. So this is used in the sectors like manufacturing, healthcare, and exploration. And the another type of AI which you could come across is the autonomous system. It's an AI driven system which can operate and make the decision without human intervention. And this includes the autonomous vehicles, drones, and the smart home devices. So these are all the various types of AI or the artificial intelligence. Now I've got a question for you guys. So can you name a use case or a product which has been built on each type of AI system that you have just seen now? So now that you are clear about what exactly is this AI system and what are the capabilities of such artificial intelligence or this AI system, let's understand the talk of the town, that is generative AI. What exactly is this generative AI and why is it so popular these days and how is it going to impact us? So let's understand this generative AI now. Now, when I say generative AI, so generative AI, it refers to the category of artificial intelligence or an AI system which focus on generating the new content, data, or the outcome in an autonomous manner. So based on the data that I have used for my training, that data will be used in order to generate the new content. And that is what the generative AI is. So when we talk about such generative AI, so compared to other types of AI, so if you take a look into the other types of AI, so it is focused on recognition, analysis, like discrimination, I can say. But when we talk about generative AI, this is a type of system which has a special capability to create novel and original content on its own. Now, this generative AI involves the machine exhibiting creative and imaginative capabilities which we do not see in a normal system. And that's one of the key feature of this generative AI. Now, the main objective of this generative AI is to enable autonomous content creation. So it is basically enabling the machines to autonomously produce the content, whether it can be an image, text, music, or other forms of creative output. And another key objective is to learn and mimic the patterns. So learn the patterns and mimic the features from the large data set. So this would allow them to understand the underlying structures and the characteristics of the data. Imitate the human creativity. So this generative AI, it seeks to imitate or replicate the human like creativity, and this would allow the machines to generate the content that would exhibit the artistic, literary, or even the music qualities as well. And also expand the boundaries of creativity by pushing the boundaries of what machines can create. These generative AIs would contribute to the creative process in the fields such as art, design, music, literature, and n number of fields. And another key objective that I can highlight is enhancing the innovation. So with this generative AI, so it fosters the innovation by providing the necessary tools and the system which can contribute to the generation of new ideas, designs, and expression, adaptation and evolution, and variety of application. I don't want to go through each and every one, but I'm sure you got the idea. But it would become more sense when I show you some real world examples of generative AI. So one of the common example of this generative AI is image generation, where you will make use of the generative models to generate the creative images or high quality realistic images based on your input. So that's one example, image generation. And another application is text generation, which is commonly used these days by the applications such as ChatGPT. So it can be employed to generate human like text, which includes poetry, stories, and even mimicking the writing style of the specific authors as well. So this comes under the content creation, chatbot, and creative writing. And some other examples would include music creation. So generative AI models, they can compose the music by learning the patterns from the existing composition. It is used in healthcare. So it is going to play a key role in expediting the advancements in the pharmaceutical sector by swiftly generating the molecular structures for novel drugs. So there are various applications as well, guys. Like, it's not like, to give you some more realistic examples. So one common example for image, like image generation using the generative model, can be the Adobe Firefly. So if you have experienced the Adobe Firefly, you can just mention the prompt. Let's say I'm just using, it says close up of detailed sci-fi suit futuristic render. If I just click on generate, based on my text input, it is generating the image for me, which is the creative image. And the best part is, these products, they have actually integrated a lot of features. Now I'll have an option to say generate a digital art, and that would generate a digital art for me. So this is an example for content generation from the image standpoint. And if we take the example of Chat GPT, which is the famously used text generation, so we can make use of this Chat GPT to generate the text as well. I can provide an input, like for example, write an email, which is the basic one that was showing for me, and it is going to generate the output, and you can see that it is generating the text. So so you now have got the applications of this generative AI and how it is used in our day-to-day basis team. Now, one question that you need to remember is the difference between, like, one thing that you need to remember is the difference between the generative AI and the discriminative models, or the generative models or the discriminative models. So let's look into the difference between them. So when we talk about the generative models, okay, so from the objective standpoint, generative models are the type of models which aims to model the joint probability distribution of the input features and the output labels, and these models is there to generate new samples. That's the overall objective of the generative model. But when we talk about descriptive models, it focuses on modeling the conditional probability of the output labels given my input features. Okay, so just at a very high level, if I want to simplify it, generative models will help us in generate the new data, and the discriminative models will help us to discriminate the given examples to one of the given classes. When we talk about output, the generative models are capable of generating the new samples itself, which where the patterns was captured from the underlying data set. But when we talk about the discriminative models, it focuses on the decision boundaries and the class separation. And the key difference between the generative models are, like, it is commonly used in the tasks like image generation, text generation, data augmentation, and these generative models are versatile and they can be applied for various applications where the goal is to generate the realistic samples. But when we talk about discriminative models, it is typically applied in the task like classification, where the main objective is to assign the input data to the specific categories or classes. So that's the core difference between the generative models and the discriminative models. Now, when we talk about machine learning tasks such as classification, regression, so you can think of it, it falls under some kind of a discriminative models. Okay, but when you are thinking about generating the new samples like GPT models, so that comes under the generative models. Now that you have understood the difference between the generative models and the discriminative models, let me list down some of the real world applications of this generative AI. So one, in the text generation, we've got the various like various products that we have seen these days, like Google Gemini and OpenAI's Chat GPT. So these are all some examples where these generative models would help us in text generation. So, and I can also show you some demonstration as well. Like for example, I can go ahead and provide an example. Like for example, I can, if I'm making use of the generative AI, so I can just make use of the input. So I've just mentioned some example. It says that I'm traveling to, let's say, Paris, and I want to create the playlist that captures the mood and spirit of, let's say, I'll just mention as Paris. Okay. Please suggest songs or artists popular in local music scene that matches my taste. Some of my favorite, and I can just mention it. So let's say songs are okay. I'll just mention some details, guys. Okay. So you can mention any of the favorite song and just you can just mention the input, and when you provide that input, so you can see that the model is able to generate the output. So the basic thing is what you can clearly observe is when we talk about such generative models, it is able to process what I'm trying to mention over here as an input. And by learning the pattern that I have described in my input, it is able to generate the output which matches that condition or which matches that pattern. That's the special idea or the special property of these generative models. Okay, that's the special idea or the special properties of such generative models. So this is an example under text generation, and this generative AI, it is used in code generation. We've got various products. So we have the products such as GitHub Copilot and AWS Code Whisperer. So this is designed to provide the code real time. Okay, so these are all some of the real world applications of such generative AI. So guys, I've got a question for you. Now that you have looked into the various examples and the applications of this generative AI, so let's proceed with the next topic that we have got, which says as why world is going crazy over these generative models. So why do we see such kind of crazy attention to such generative AI model? Well, the reason that we see widespread attention for this generative model, because as most of you have used in your day-to-day life and you have come across, these generative AI models can generate new and original content. This can be images, text, music, and even videos as well. So this ability is to create something so unique is very much fascinating to anyone. So it also showcases the power of AI that is there, especially in the creative world, whether it is to write an email or whether it is to like ask someone out, or whether you want to like provide a feedback to someone. You are making use of the chat GPT or any such generative model so that you get some creative ideas as well. So, and the another widespread attention, like another reason why we are paying a lot of attention for these generative models is because of its application across industries. These generative AI models have applications across industries, which includes art, entertainment, design, healthcare, gaming, you name it. We can actually, like, it actually has widespread applications across industries. And breakthroughs in realism. So recent advancements, especially in this generative AI, have led to significant improvement in the realism as well as the quality of the generated content. Like as you have seen earlier, when I mentioned to generate an image with the help of Adobe Firefly, so the quality of generated content, it was so superb, but it was in line with what I have asked earlier. And the models like GPT, StyleGAN, they produce the high convincing output which are difficult to distinguish from the human created content. And another reason is artificial creativity. So generative AI raises the philosophical question about nature of creativity and the role of the humans in the creative process. So because of this, it challenges the traditional notions of authorship, and this has opened up the discussion about the relationship between the human and machine generated content. And because of all these advancements, obviously, the media is highlighting the latest advancement and the applications of such generative AI model, and this is contributing to the popularity and the public fascinations of the same. Like the examples would include deepfake technology, which we see day in and day out in a news article about, okay, this celebrity or this person, like this person's video has been created with the help of deepfake technology, or AI generated art, AI written stories. So because of these examples, so it has highlighted the latest advancements that we see in this field, and this has gathered a lot of popularity and the public fascination. And these models have the potential to revolutionize various aspects of society. So it can be from entertainment, advertisement to healthcare and education. So that's the reason that we see a lot of widespread attention for this sector. Now, when we are working and interacting with such generative models or this generative artificial intelligence model, generative AI model, one thing that you always use it to interact with such models is the input. But let's do one thing. Let me just open up one of the website that we have opened earlier. Let's say Firefly. So if you look into the Firefly website, like Adobe Firefly product, so it says one thing, it says prompt. So it says prompt over here. So when we talk about working with the generative AI models, in order for us to generate the data using the generative AI model, we have to provide the input, and the input that we give to this generative AI models is what we call it as the prompt. For example, I'll say dog, I'll say swimming in ocean in sunny day. So when I provide an input, I just randomly mentioned some text over here that says dog swimming in ocean in sunny day. So this is basically the input that I'm giving. From the perspective of the generative AI model, we call this as the prompt. So prompt is basically the pattern that I would send for a generative AI model, and using this pattern, the model is going to generate the new content. So that is what we call it as the prompt. Which brings us to the next topic that we have got, that is prompt engineering. All right, guys. So we've been like live for more than 50 minutes. So I just want to take a quick pause and ask you, are you able to follow along with me? So if yes, please confirm by typing as all good. If you have got any questions or if you want me to adjust the pace, so do let me know in the questions tab that you have got. Okay. So do let me know, team, how we are doing. Are you able to follow along with me? If yes, please confirm by typing as all good. In the meantime, if you have got any question, yes, feel free to let me know as well. Okay, I see a question here. What is the difference between generative AI user and the programmer? Okay, that's a good question, Raghu. So generative AI user is basically a person, like in this case that you see, right? I'm just providing an input and I'm generating the output. That's the role of a generative AI user. I'm a user in this case. I'm not building anything. I'm just going to provide the input and I'll get the response. That's the role of a generative AI user. And programmer, we generally do not call them as a programmer. The person who works with such models, we generally call them as data scientists or machine learning engineers. So they are the ones who look into the technical aspect of the model, and they will help us to fine tune the model for the data that we are working. So programmer is the one who works, I'll not say programmer, data scientist or a machine learning engineer is the one who works into the technical details of the model and help the model to get adjusted on the data that we have got. And user is the end user. Okay, and I see confirmation from Raghu, Pallavi. Okay, and over here I see responses as well. Okay, Supriya. Okay, thank you, Rohit and Josie. Okay, Rachita, Sridhar, Samiksha. Okay, Lakshmi. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for a response, and thank you so much for being interactive. And I would request the same support, guys. So to have like for my benefit, so that I'll have the best attention from you. So let's do one thing. Let's take a quick short break of 5 minutes, and let's regroup after 5 minutes, and we'll continue with the next topic that we have got, that is prompt engineering. Okay. So we'll look into the prompt engineering, and I'd also talk about the fine tuning the AI models, that is the generative AI models. So let's meet after 5 minutes, folks. Okay, I hope everyone is back. So let's continue further, folks, in our learning journey. Okay, so we have learned that the input that we provide to our generative model is what we call it as the prompt, which brings us to the next topic that we have got, that is prompt engineering. So let's understand what does it mean by this prompt engineering. So prompt engineering means that it actually deals with meticulously crafting and design of the effective instructions or the prompt, so that we can steer or we can make such language models like ChatGPT towards generating the desired output. Now this process involves formulation of precise and unambiguous instruction, provision of the pertinent context, structuring of examples, as well as the strategic utilization of the system messages to shape the behavior and enhance the quality of responses from the model. I understand it's too much technical, but let me just provide it, show it to you in a hands-on manner so that you get a better idea on the same. Suppose if I mention the information as what is data lake in AWS. So it's a question that I've got. Okay, so I mentioned as what is data lake in AWS. It is a general question, and it is going ahead and generating the answer for me, which explains what is data lake from the data engineering standpoint in the AWS. It says data lake is a centralized repository that will help us to store all kinds of data. Now observe closely. Now this time what I'm going to mention is, I'll mention as explain what is data lake in AWS for a college kid without programming experience, and explain in points. So you can clearly observe right now is my input or my prompt is meticulously designed right now. I'm specifically saying what exactly is it that I'm looking for. So now if I press the enter key, so I've just mentioned as explain what is data lake in AWS for a college kid without programming experience. Now if you look into this output or the generation that has been done by this generative AI model, here it says that. So here's a simplified explanation. So it says central storage, since I've mentioned as points, so it has described as points. It says think of data lake as a big digital warehouse where you can store all kind of information, where you'll have a cabinet in the cloud where you can keep everything organized. So it says in this filing cabinet you can store any types of data like text, spreadsheet, pictures, videos, and more. And it's not just one type of file, it's a mix of everything you can imagine. So by simply looking into the response, so we can confidently say that the output from the model has actually changed. Okay, it has literally changed by the way that I have asked this model. So that's what a prompt engineering is. So prompt engineering involves designing such effective instructions or the prompt so that we can get the required response from such generative models. So that's the main idea of this prompt engineering. So the goal of this prompt engineering is to optimize the model performance. And so, like, the main aim is to enhance the model performance by fine tuning the prompts so that we can get the more accurate and relevant response and improve the output quality of the model. That's another goal of my prompt engineering, where we seek to refine the quality of generated output by providing the clear instruction and the context that will help the model understand the task and generate the coherent response. And we can also make use of this prompt engineering by tailoring the responses to a specific task. So by creating and by crafting the tailored prompt, the prompt engineering would ensure that the language models will generate, will generate the output which is in alignment with the intended task or application. So it can be answering the question, completing the sentences, or generating the new content or the creative content too. And this will enhance the user experience. So these effective prompt engineering will contribute to the smoother and more satisfying user experience by enabling the model to produce the output which meets the user expectations and the requirement. So that's the goal of this prompt engineering, guys. Now, when we talk about such prompt engineering, so it's important that you understand the architecture and the components of the prompt. So when we talk about the architecture and the components of the prompt, so this is how a basic architecture of this prompt would look like, or this overall prompt engineering. So it is composed of clear instruction, providing the relevant context, structuring with some examples, and utilizing the system message as and when it is required. So we will provide all these things to a large language model, which can be a chat GPT. So you'll provide all this information to a model so that you can get the response in a manner that we would prefer. So when we say formulate clear instruction, so it is important that you craft precise and unambiguous prompts. So provide the relevant context. So it offers pertinent information to aid the model in understanding the task. Structure the example by organizing the examples to illustrate the desired behavior or response. So you'll also be able to get the better prompt, better response from the model, and utilize the system messages. By providing the additional feedback, so that is going to influence the overall model behavior. Now the question that some of you might have is, I'm a data scientist or I'm a machine learning engineer that I'm working with, and I'm having a knowledge of machine learning. Now, why is it required for me as a data scientist? Well, even though as a technical person you might be a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, the reason this prompt engineering is required, whether you're from technical background or from the non-technical background, is, as you have clearly observed with the demonstration that I just gave, when I mention the prompt in a generic way, it will generate the response in a generic way. By providing the response, by providing the prompt in an effective manner, so this is going to result in enhanced model performance, and it will help us in better task alignment. So when we start working as a data scientist, we'll be frequently utilizing the language models for variety of tasks. It can be text generation, sentiment analysis, language translation. So crafting the tailored prompt, this would ensure that the model generates the output which is in alignment with the specific task at hand, which will enhance the utility of the model for the data science project. And data pre-processing. So this prompt engineering involves providing the relevant context and structuring the examples, which you can view as a form of a data pre-processing. So as you know, as a data scientist, you know the importance of pre-processing of the data. So by providing the prompt in an effective way, in turn, you're affecting how your model behaves. So now that this concept is clear, okay, so the importance of prompt engineering and the architecture of prompt. So a quick recap: when I say prompt, prompt is basically an input that I would send for my large language model. And using this prompt, it is going to generate the content based on the prompt that I have mentioned. So the way it is going to generate the content is by understanding the prompt and understanding the pattern that is conveyed in the prompt. So that's the overall architecture of this prompt engineering. Now the question is, what are the strategies that I can use it for effective prompts? So there are various strategies that I can use it for effective prompt. So one is be clear and specific. So an example of unclear prompt can be summarize this article, but a clear example can be generate a concise summary of the main points described in an article about, let's say it's about a climate change. And another strategy is provide relevant context. So an example of incorrect prompt is like translate the text. And some of the common example or the best way is translate the following passage from English to Spanish, and you can mention some more information about the text that you have got. And another key strategy is use natural language. So frame prompts using the natural language which the model has been trained upon. Okay, and include the examples, provide the relevant examples. So you can say that instead of simply saying it as, let's say, generate a poem, so you can just provide the prompt with examples like write a poem in style of, maybe you can mention the poet name, let's say Robert Frost, incorporating the themes of nature and introspection. And the other key strategies that you can follow while you are working and working with such prompt is like use the prompts as a feedback. So you can say that as a great start, please continue by adding more specific examples and explanation for your generative model. And you can experiment with length and complexity. So you can mention the length and the complexity of the response as well by providing such input. And it's an iterative process where you will get a response, and based on that you will learn about some details, some changes that you want to do, and you will iterate and you are going to refine it. And also you can provide some negative examples as well. You can consider some negative examples as well, and you can tailor the prompts to task and the audience. So these are the various strategies that you can use it for the effective prompts. Now, while utilizing such strategies, there are various techniques that you can use it for generating such prompt. There are some techniques like template based prompt. So this is generally used when you want to generate the response from the model that you have got by following a specific template. Like an example, generate a type of content about a specific topic, or generate an email about, and you can mention some spaces over there in the middle, and you can just go ahead and follow the template, and based on the template even the model is going to generate the coherent response. Or the other techniques that you can use are prompt expansion. So here in the case of prompt expansion, you will start with the basic prompt and you would gradually expand it to provide more context or detail. And the other techniques would include prompt variation and prompt customization. So these are all the various strategies that you can use it for the generating the prompt. So for now, the learning journey that you had till now is you have understood about what is AI, what is generative AI, and when you are interacting with such generative AI model, we will make use of prompt, and this will be used as an input for my generative AI model, and this in turn is going to generate the output. So you have understood about the prompt. So now let us go ahead and understand such generative AI models. Now let's consider the examples that we have seen. So let's do one thing. Let me just bring up my chat GPT screen. Okay. So here, if I come to this chat GPT portal, so you can see that the model that has been selected right now is GPT 3.5. So this GPT 3.5 is the version of the model that I'm using to generate the text for me. Okay, this model is what I have, like this model is what I'm using to generate the text for me. So that's what I'm using. Now, what are these models are called? So if I talk about this GPT 3.5 or similar models, we call those models as the LLM, which is nothing but large language models. So the reason that we make use of the term called large, because it has got large number of parameters which has captured the complex patterns in a huge volume of data set. So that's the reason we call it as LLM, that is large language model. So one such LLM that is used in this chat GPT is GPT 3.5. That GPT 3.5 is what is powering up my prompts. Okay, that is what is powering up my prompts, guys. So when we talk about these LLM, so this LLM, it stands for the large language model, and they are the type of artificial intelligence which is designed to understand and generate human-like text based on the input it receives. So that's the idea of this LLM. Now these models have got vast number of parameters. So as a result of this, as I mentioned, it has got the capability to learn the complex pattern in the language, and it is able to generate coherent and contextually relevant responses. Some of the examples of this LLM would include OpenAI's GPT, Google's BERT, and so on. So that's what an LLM is. So that means your chat GPT application is powered by GPT 3.5, and that GPT 3.5 is basically the large language model. Okay, now when we talk about working with such LLM or training such LLM, it involves various steps. So it involves various steps, which includes data collection, tokenization, model architecture selection, pre-training, fine-tuning, hyperparameter training, hyperparameter tuning, and the other steps would include evaluation, deployment, continuous learning, and updating. So these are the steps that would be followed in training any large language model. So let's start with the first step, that is data collection. So this data collection is a first step in LLM training. It involves gathering the large corpus of text data. So this would consist of diverse text sources like website, books, articles for social media platforms, and so on. Now, once that is done, once the data collection is completed, we would go ahead and perform the tokenization. Now, tokenization is nothing but this text data that I have collected, I'll be splitting into the smaller words, which we call it as the subwords. So we call those subwords called as the tokens. So it will break down the text into the individual token. Suppose if I want to give you an example, this is the tokenization from the GPT model, which is powering the chat GPT. Suppose if I send the input as I love masala dosa, now it has performed the tokenization by generating the tokens as I love, MAS, ALA is another token, D is one token, OSA is another token. So it has generated 6 tokens. So the reason it has been split in this manner, because these are the words that are part of the vocabulary. So it will split our input in terms of the vocabulary that it has got. So that's the idea of this tokenization. We'll split the corpus into the individual subwords. Then this is followed by model architecture selection. So some of the uh, popular architecture for the LLMs would include transformer based models like GPT, which is known as generative pre-trained transformer, BERT, which is known as bidirectional encoder representation from transformers, and so on. So these models are designed to capture long range dependencies in the text data in an efficient manner. Now, once we select the architecture, the pre-training is performed. So these LLMs that we talk about over here, it has been pre-trained on such tokenized data using the unsupervised learning technique. So the way that we will train it is at a very high level. So we'll take a large corpus, we will divide it into tokens by applying the tokenization. And once we generate the token, we will train in an unsupervised manner such that given my current word, what would be the next word? Okay, let's say C1 is my current word. I want to predict the next word. If C2 is my next word, I want to predict the next word C3 and so on. So this is called as the pre-training activity. So this is generally done with objectives like mask language modeling, or the next sentence prediction, or the next word prediction that I've described right now. Now, once the pre-training is done, so we would go ahead and perform the fine tuning. So after the pre-training, these LLMs can be fine-tuned on specific downstream tasks or the domains to improve upon its performance. So this fine-tuning involves further training the model on task-specific label data with supervised learning techniques. And this is followed by hyperparameter tuning and the evaluation of the model. Now, once the model is evaluated, we would deploy it. So if you think about the chat GPT right now, so what OpenAI team has done is they have performed this pre-training. They have selected the large corpus of data, performed the training, they have performed the fine tuning, and they have performed the hyperparameter tuning. They have evaluated the model, and finally they have deployed that model in the environment, which is the OpenAI software. Like they deployed it in their production environment, which we are able to access it by visiting the website or the app. So the interaction that I'm doing over here with the help of this chat GPT, so this interaction is basically, okay, this interaction is basically I'm interacting with the model, which is the fine-tuned model from the OpenAI team. So that is what is happening right now. So the input that I send from the prompt, it will be sent as an input for this model, and this model, GPT model, is going to generate the response. This is the model that they have hosted on their environment, in their production environment. So that's the core idea of this generative models that we generally work with, guys. So when we talk about these generative models, these are the models which is capable of generating the data, new data, based on the data it has been trained upon. So that is one of the reason when you mention any input for the model which is not part of its training data. So in such scenarios, you would observe that the model is not capable of answering such questions in an efficient manner. Okay, so that's the overall idea about this generative AI model, guys. Now I've got a question for you. Okay, now I've got a question for you with our understanding that we had just now. Okay, I want you to answer, why do we use prompts, or what is the role of prompts? So with the this is just a quiz on the quick knowledge check before we move to the hands-on of working with this chat GPT. So why do I use prompts, or what is the role of prompts? So I see a response from Shruti, Diksha, Lakshmi, okay, Satyam, Rohit, okay, Samyukta. Perfect, guys. Okay, Thank you so much, team. Yes, as most of you have mentioned, yes, we use this prompt to get the effective result from or the effective output from the generative model. Okay, so yeah, it is requirement to the model. That's correct, Pallavi. Okay, so perfect, guys. So with this, I think you are now familiar with the generative AI and its basic. Now, before we move on with the hands-on team as how to work with this OpenAI ChatGPT API. Okay, so perfect, guys. Now, what we will do is we'll make use of the OpenAI ChatGPT and we'll see how to work with its API. Okay, so there are various ways of working with this API, guys. So I'll take you through the most commonly used way, which is the Assistant API. So in order for you to work with this Assistant API, first thing that you need to have is you need to have an account with Chat OpenAI. Okay, you can get it by visiting the website platform.openai.com, and from here you'll have to add your billing method. So you'll have to go to the settings, and from here under the billing you need to add some balance. Okay, $5 is the minimum balance that you have to add. You can add it with your favorite payment method, and once you have the credit balance, then only you can work with the API of this OpenAI. Okay, for the demonstration purpose, so I'll show you how you would do it. So you'll click on this create new secret key, and this will go ahead and create a new secret key. I'll say my live demo. I'll say create secret key. So this would create a secret key. You just have to copy it and keep it with you, because that's going that it will not be displayed any other time. Like it is just displayed only once. Okay, so you will use that API key in whenever you are calling the code. Let's for the demonstration purpose, let me do one thing. So I'll go ahead and copy the meeting details. Okay, like this is the event that I have mentioned the event details over here in this page, HTML page. So what I'm going to do is I would use this page. Okay, I would use this page as an input, and using this page as an input, I'm going to ask the questions to the OpenAI ChatGPT. So in order to do the same, there are various APIs that are available to us. So one API that I'm going to make use is, okay, so I'll make use of this. Let me just take documentation. So one API that I'm going to make use is the Assistants API. Okay, so I'll make use of this Assistants API. So Assistants API is one of the API which is available under this OpenAI. So we can use this to build the assistant with our own application. We can additionally provide the information, and using this information, it can go ahead and generate the response to us. So they have given the complete details as how to work with this Assistant API. So let me do one thing for the demonstration purpose. I would go ahead and create a new notebook. I'll say new notebook. So in order to get started, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I would go ahead and install this OpenAI library. I'll say pip install upgrade OpenAI. So this is going to install the OpenAI library. Now once it is installed, I'll have to go ahead and use my API key and create an object called client. So I'll say from OpenAI, I'll be importing the OpenAI. Now here, I'll say client is equal to OpenAI, and inside the parenthesis, you'll have to mention the API key. In my case, I'll specify my API key, which I have copied earlier. This is the API key that I've created. Okay, you'll have to use your own. So I'll be disabling it once the session is complete. So this is how you'll be setting up the connection. So once you have created the connection by specifying your OpenAI key, now you can go ahead and get started. Now for the demonstration purpose, what I'll do is I'll simply save this HTML page. I'll just say demo and I'll save this as HTML. So the file has been saved as HTML. Now what I'll do is I'll upload that HTML page. So I'm uploading the HTML page right here. Now once I've uploaded this HTML page, I can quickly go ahead and load this file to my OpenAI platform. So I'll say uploaded file and I'll just mention the file name. In my case, it is demo.html. So this is going to upload the file under the file section. So now if I go ahead and display this uploaded file, it will tell me what is the file that I have just uploaded. Now this file will also be available in your OpenAI portal as well. Now in order to work with the same, so what I'll do is I would go ahead and create an assistant. I'll say assistant is equal to, and I would make use of the documentation page. So I'll say copy and we'll modify a few things. Okay. So client.beta.assistants and I'll say event helper, that's the name. And I would mention the instruction. This is the instruction that I would give for the bot. You are the assistant to provide details of the event. Okay. And you can mention the various type. Okay. So for the demonstration purpose, like I'll not be using the code interpreter, I'll make use of retrieval. Okay. That means it has to retrieve the information from the file that I have mentioned. I'll make use of GPT-4 Turbo, or you can make use of any other one that you want to use. And this is the model. And I'll also mention the file ID. I'll say file IDs and I'll mention the uploaded file ID. So uploaded file. So that means use this file ID. That's what it means. Okay, I'll access this file ID. So in this way, I'll be creating an assistant. Now, once I create this assistant, now I just have to create a thread. So in order to create the thread, we just follow this thread is equal to client.beta.threads.create. This is going to create the thread and this will generate the thread ID for me. So this will generate the unique thread ID for me. Now for this unique thread ID, I just have to go ahead and create the message inside the thread. So I'll just copy this. It says add a message to a thread. I'll paste it right here and I'll mention thread is equal to my thread.id. Okay, the content. Suppose I'll mention the information as when is the event happening. So let us assume if the user is asking as when is this event happening. Okay, if this is my information or if this is the input. Okay, so this is going to create a message. Okay, now once I create this message, that is once I add a message to a thread, okay, I can go ahead and run the assistant. I'll just copy this and I'll paste it right here. So what this is going to do is this is going to run the assistant. So for the thread ID that I have created earlier, for this thread ID for the assistant that we had created, I can optionally mention the system information, system instruction, where I would say that help the user on the event query. Okay, this is the additional one that I can mention, which is basically running the assistant. And once that is done, I can go ahead and generate the response. Okay, I can go ahead and generate the response. In order to do that, I'll just create a while loop. So I'll just check for that run ID whether it has been processed by ChatGPT or not. If the status is complete, I would go ahead and print the output. So here it says I've provided the information as when is the event happening, and it says that the event Generative AI and Prompt Engineering Mastery is happening on Saturday, February 10, 2024 at 5 p.m. local time. So guys, what you have seen is the capability of this ChatGPT using my own data, that is the custom data that I just provided, and I'm able to generate the queries. Let me do one thing. Let me ask a different question right here. So I'll say, what do I learn in this webinar? I'll just mention, suppose if that's the information. So I'll say, what do I learn from the webinar? Okay. So if this is the new message, now let's see what is the chat GPT is going to respond for me. So it says foundations of model, how it works, significance. Okay. So it it just looks into the data and it has generated the response by understanding what I have mentioned over here in this workshop highlights. So team, what you have seen just now is how we can make use of this chat GPT's assistant API, provide our own data, okay, provide our own data and able to generate the response. Okay, so few things that you need to remember is, so the queries that I ran, it's the paid one because it will be used from the credits that I have on my account. Okay, so whatever the queries that I'll be running, it will be deducted from my credit balance. So it is mandatory that you need to have a credit balance with you to ensure it's working. Okay, that's how you would go ahead and work with such large language model and also mention your own data and use it for your own company applications. I'll do one thing. I'll share this source code to you. Give me a second. I'll share this source code to you so that you can have it as a reference. So I'll be uploading the code on the website manifoldailearning.in. So you can check out the course resources by going to this. Let me just share you the link directly. I think it would be much simple. bit.ly manifoldailearning.in. Okay, so this is a portal where you can where you can get the source code of the session as well as as well as the sessions recording. They will be adding the session recording into this portal itself. Okay, I'll be uploading in a minute as of now. Okay, I've shared you the link as well. So let me just upload the files. Okay team, I've just uploaded the files over here. You can check over here. It says 10th Feb for generative AI and prompt engineering. Just use the link and download the source code. And we'll be uploading the sessions recording as part like within next 24 hours. You'll also be able to access it under this portal. In case if you have missed our previous webinar, you can also go ahead and access it in the same portal. There's a webinar that we had connected on 3rd and 4th February, which is about Git and GitHub as well. You can refer it over here and you can access all the source code, all the learning materials over here in this portal. Okay team, so with this we come to the end of today's agenda. Now I want to ask if you have got any questions or any queries from the learning that we had today.